everybody and welcome back to another BBC Microbit video. We're going to learn how to make different colours using LED lights. So we're going to use something called RGB values to make many different colours when they are mixed together, which are represented by numbers. So RGB stands for red, green and blue. And don't get confused with the primary colours in art, which are red, yellow and blue, because you can still make green using yellow and blue. But RGB values are a whole different thing, and you can make any colour you want using different tones, saturation, brightnesses of RGB, which will represent as numbers again. So if you don't understand my explanation, you're going to see, because we're going to use something called Tinkercad, which will help me demonstrate it to you, and then we're going to do some projects using the BBC Microbit so I could show you it in my perspective when we download the code. So what we're going to do is open a new browser and then type Tinkercad, and I'm going to show you how to set up basically each and every part of the diagram, and you can start coding your microbit on Tinkercad. But the BBC Microbit is actually better because you can actually download your code, and then this is just an easy simulator that you could set up every part with. So once we're on to the website, you can either sign in or click Start Tinkering, or you can click Join Now if you don't already have an account. But however, I do have an account, so I'm just going to click Start Tinkering, then create a personal account. And then all I have to do is sign up by Google. And now I'm into my account. So what I'm going to do is go to Circuit, then click Create New Circuit. And you can see I already have the BBC Microbit design, but I'm going to build it step by step just to show you all. So we're going to drag the BBC Microbit there. We accidentally dragged two. So I'm just going to delete one. So we only need to have one BBC Microbit. Then I need to drag in an LED RGB, and I'm going to place it here. And then I'm going to use this drawing tool to connect wires to my microbit. So the first color I'm going to do is red. This will be the R value, and I'm going to connect it to the place where it says red, and then I'm just going to unselect that option, and then I'm going to do green because RGB, red, green and blue, connect it to the 1 pin this time, and then I'm going to connect it to this one where it says green, unselect that, then I'm going to choose the blue color and then do that to the number 2 pin, and then I'm going to connect it there. You don't have to follow the 0, 1 and 2 pins like I did. You can make RGB different numbers. It doesn't really matter in any order for 0, 1 and 2. And then I can unselect it and then choose the color black and then click on the ground supply and then drag that to where it says cathode, which basically is just the ground supply. And then we're going to go into the code section and we're going to start coding basic. So this editor might also look like the Scratch editor bit with the blue block, variables, math, control. That's pretty similar to Scratch. And then these look pretty similar to the when greenfied clicked button. So what we're going to do is scroll down in basic and then drag our on button A pressed. And then I'm going to make it a bit smaller so you could see all of my code, and then drag these blocks up a bit. And then we're going to go to output and then find analog write pin 0 to 0. Obviously you could change these options, but since pin 0 we put as R, which is basically red, we can put a value for that number basically. So the RGB value in this editor and the BBC Microbit editor is 0 to 1023. And if you want to make this the brightest red as possible, we could just type in 1023, and then we could just set the other pins to 0 basically. So this is R, number 1 is green, hence I've made the color coding a bit easier to see. And then pin 2 will be 0, so they stand for no color at all. And then what I can do is show an icon to make sure button A has been pressed. So it's very easier to see that the code has been written. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Start Simulation. And then it's going to initializing. And then I'm just going to zoom out a bit. Well, actually, what I could do is hide the code and hide this. And then I could zoom in a little. So you can see that the microbit is now running, and I just did this face to show that it has started. And also you can see that it made the most random name up here, Grand Temilio Hadi. I think it just makes up random names for your projects in Tinkercad. So I'm just going to press button A. And then you can see down here that the button is bright red because we've set it to 1023, the highest value. But what I'm going to do is click Stop Simulation. And then we're just going to go to the code. And instead of 1023, I'm going to do a much smaller value, like 350. And then I'm going to show you in comparison what that looks like. And remember, this is just red. So you can see that it's a much less brighter red, as 1023 is the maximum red, so it's really, really bright. However, this red doesn't look as bright as the other one. And I'm just going to click Stop Simulation. And I'm going to go to the code again. So now I'm just going to do multiple colors. So for example, I'm going to make purple. So I might make red 650, and then I might make blue 650, because red and blue make purple. And I'm just going to hide the code and start the simulation. Click button A, and you can see that it's actually a brightish purplish pinkish actually. And what I could do is just increase the numbers a little bit, and then you can see the final output. Obviously, you could just experiment with these numbers and then see how many different tones and brightnesses of color you can make. Oh, and I forgot to start simulation. Click button A, and then you can see that it's a different shade of purple. So just play around with these numbers. And if you've heard of RGB before, you've probably heard of RGB ranging from 0 to 255. Well, from those numbers, there's a less of a range of different possibilities of brightnesses, tones, and color that it can have. For example, on this one, there is 1024 options you could have, ranging from completely white to maximum brightness of that color. So it's the same for the different unit of measurement, 0 to 255, making 255 being the maximum brightness. So I'll show you it here. So in the Google search engine, I'm just going to type RGB color picker. And then if I pick a color, basically, any color actually, and then just drag it down, you could see the RGB, and it only goes from 0 to 255. So the colors will be slightly different, but in the BBC Microbit editor, it will range from 0 to 1023. So there's just more possibilities of colors that there can be. But when we get into the Microbit editor, what we're going to do is write our own formula to convert the normal RGB into the Microbit RGB. And then I will show that here. Alright, so now I'm going to do the coding in the BBC Microbit now, because I've now demonstrated you how to do it in Tinkercad. But of course, the coding will be different. So yeah, I'm just going to click New Project, and then I'm going to call it RGB Colors. Alright, so we don't need these blocks, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And what we're going to do is create a function to convert RGB values from 0 to 255. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a function, and it's going to be called RGB display. And then I'm going to add a number, so I'm going to do 3 of these, and then I'm going to call them R, G, and B. I'll work out the calculation to convert them into the microbit RGB values. So we're going to go down to by sign, and then we're going to drag out analog right pin 0. So you're going to control the pins that it's plugged onto the microbit onto this. So there's no custom block to assign red, green and blue separately. The microbit extension, which I already showed on the screen for the final output, has red, green and blue written onto it. And for example, if we say pin 0 and we plug a vial onto it and that's plugged onto the red section of it, then that means that color is going to be red. But to work out the calculations for it, we're going to go into math, then we're going to operator, then we're going to type 1023 divided by 255, and then we're going to set that to R. So we're going to drag out the multiplied by sign, and then it's going to be multiplied by the R value. Like Python, these are values you could add to your function. So once we call the function, we can declare those variables. And since if you divide these two numbers, it's going to have some decimal places. So we're just going to go to math again and drag it round. And we're going to round this entire calculation. And I'm just going to drag that in there. And then we could just duplicate this 2 more times for red, green and blue. So I'll just delete this and change this to green, and then change that to blue, and then change the pins. So I'll just use pin 0, pin 1 and pin 2. So these pins, just to make it really simple for you. And when I call the function, I'm going to go to input and then drag this out. And then I'm going to go to functions and then drag call RGB display. And then we can put the RGB values there. So I'm going to show you an easier trick to find out every different color. For example, if you want to just do red, all you need to do is input 255 here, and then 0, and then 0. So this is just really bright red, and there's no other colors needed to make red since R stands for red anyway. And I'm just going to do a really simple example. So I'm just going to make red 0, and then I'm just going to do 255 in the green section. Oh, and I have to also change that to button B. And another thing that I could do before, well, you can't really do it on the microbit editor because you don't have the RGB extension. But one more thing I want to do is I'm going to make this flash different colors. So all I need to do is go to basic, then I'm going to do a pause, 500 milliseconds, duplicate that. Then I'm just going to make it flash green and white, so white is just 0, 0, 0. And then I'm just going to make it pause again. And then I'm just going to repeat it 5 times, not forever, because if I press button A after that, I want it to change. So I'll just do that, and I'm going to download it to my microbit, and I'll show you it. So guys, I've transferred the code onto the microbit, but before I show you the output, I'm going to explain you how the RGB format works. So as you can see here, it's written red, green and blue. So since we specified pin 0 as red in the microbit code, we plug it into red. Then pin 1 is green, and then pin 2 is blue, like we specified in the code. And then we just plug the ground pin to the ground pin, and then if I press A, it should turn red, since we did red is 255 and every other color is 0. And then if I press B, you see it's going to go green, then white, then green, then white, so on and so on 5 times. So yeah, that is it. So guys, now that I've demonstrated you using the basics of RGB, I'm going to experiment with more colors, and you could do even more buttons if you wanted to. So for example, I could choose an orangish color, and then I could just drag the brightness and adjust it to whatever value I want it to be. And if I want to do this value, for example, I just can see the RGB. So red is 217. I'll do it for button A first. Then green is 154. And then blue is 61. And it will anyway transfer it into the microbit values using this function. And then I think I'm gonna make it flash again for button B, except like try some new colors. So I could just slide this all the way here. I'm gonna try like a magenta kind of color. It's like this kind of darkish pink. I think that's about it. So I'll just input the colors. So I'm gonna make it flash magenta. So I'm going to make it flash magenta and then maybe a different color. So I just need to input the RGB values. And I'm going to think, what color do I want it to flash after a certain amount of time? I might try like a turquoise kind of color. That would be interesting. You could experiment way more colors and patterns with this thing. It's very interesting, actually. Okay, yep, I got the colors right. And then I can recommend some interesting colors that you could try out. For example, you could try golden. It seems very cool. So you just see RGB values. And then, if I, for example, I'm not going to do shake since I'm plugging into the USB cable. And it has so many wires attached to it. So it's not a good idea to shake it. I think I'll do on logo press since I'm using the V2 as a demonstration. And one last color I'm going to do is a sort of yellowish greenish color. And I'll make it flash with button A. So that, and for this one I could make it a different timing. So I think I might make it like 250 so it can flash more rapidly. And I'm going to do it for like 10 times. And if you want, you could just add your own music to it. So, I think I just want to play one basic sound. And then I'm just going to repeat it. For example, high D. And since this is the V2, I'm just going to use in the built-in speaker, even if it's not like the best quality. And yeah, I think, that's a lot of code. I think I kind of overdone it with these colors. You could just do one color basically, and then just add sounds to it. But I decided to do flashing anyway. So I'll just go ahead and download the code. I'm just checking it. And yeah, I'll show you the final output. So guys, I've transferred the code onto the microbit again, and I'll show you it. So since I added sounds to it, it will be even cooler. So if I press A, to be honest, you can't really tell it actually. So I'll play it one more time. It's a similar hue, but if I press button B, I guess you could sort of tell it. So it goes from a kind of turquoise to a magenta. And, if I press the on logo button, I can't really do it. So I think I might change that to a button A plus B. And I'll not show you that on the screen because you already know how to do it. So I'll just cut back when I do that. So guys, I've changed the code again. And then I'm doing button A plus B. So since I'm holding the camera with one hand, it's going to be a little bit hard. But it's going to turn like a sort of goldish color. I'm not sure how you guys would see it because in person it looks gold. But yeah, hopefully you guys can try this code out and experience it by yourselves and try different colors like I have. And always try to use the RGB color picker. So guys, that is it for this short BBC microbit video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and again, you could buy this from the Pi Heart or any BBC microbit shop that you find it in, depending on where you live. You can find all these extensions there, but you can't really do this project in the editor because they don't have this RGB LED individual light. I mean, they do have strips, but this is just individual lights. You could use RGB coding for it. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, and press that notification video in so you know when I upload next. Bye!